Hello, we are talking about your question number 10 today on the One Hormone Thing questionnaire that you guys filled out. Thank you for doing that, which has to do with gut health. And I think I'm live on Instagram. No, I'm not live on Instagram, but it has to do with what does my gut health have to do with my hormones? So give me 1 second. I didn't set this up properly on Instagram, so we got to get our Instagram people here. What does my gut have to do with my hormones? I got this question so many times on the on the question survey. Hi, I see some people there. Who's there? Give me a shout out. Let me know who's here. Yeah, this didn't go right here on Instagram, so let's try this again. Let's put the title. So I got this question so much, and maybe you've wondered, why do people talk about, you hear people talking about gut health and hormone health as being linked? And that's probably really confusing to the average person. They're like, what do my hormones have to do with my gut? Is that you? Because we're going to talk about that today. I just need to get my Instagram on here because I promised them too that I would be here at 1 o'clock. So I need to do that. What does my gut health have to do with my hormones? I should remember to get on Instagram first because it's a little more fickle than the StreamYard that I use to go on Facebook. There they are! Where have you guys been? Talking to you about your question number 10 from the One Thing Hormone survey. This was the 10th most common question. What does my gut health have to do with my hormones? I love this question. All right, so let's dive into it a little bit. So your gut is in the center of your body, and you know it because it breaks your food down and nourishes you, right? It helps you to break your food down and get the nutrients out. But your body sees your gut a little differently. Yes, it sees it as the source of nourishment because that's where the nourishment comes through. But it also sees it as a potential battleground. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you ask the average person, what is your greatest interface with the external environment? Most people would say their skin, right? Skin is what's touching the outside. But that's actually not true. It's actually your gut, your gastrointestinal tract from the top to the bottom. You are taking your external environment and you are putting it into your mouth and bringing it into your body. So whereas your skin is touching anything that it comes in contact with, your insides are coming in contact with more. Actually, hey, Anne, your gut has a greater surface area as big as 2 doubles tennis courts laid out. Your skin isn't that big. So you're taking the external environment and putting it inside. So when I say it could be a potential battleground, what do I mean? Well, we don't think about our skin as being a barrier or a boundary or a battleground, but it actually is. It's designed to protect us, protect our bodies from external invasion, right? Not only from dirt, but molds and viruses and infectious agents and chemical agents that could make us sick. Our body considers our skin as protection. So as such, it is part of our immune system in a way because it is a protective barrier and it's a potential battleground because sometimes your skin has to fight stuff off. Well, the same is true of your gut, where you've got more external area touching more of your external environment. So your immune system is actually primarily focused around your gastrointestinal system from top to bottom. Your tonsils circle your throat. They're surveying anything that comes in. They're looking for potential threats. Could be infections, bacteria, viruses, parasites, whatever, molds, fungi. It wants to alert and get rid of. You've got them in your neck. You've got them in your throat. And then all along your gastrointestinal tract, you have lymph nodes. You have something called GALT, gut-associated lymphoid tissue. And you have these little things called Peyer's patches that are these little patches all along your intestines that are full of immune cells that are watching on alert if anything comes through there that could be a threat to you. So gut intimately involved with your immune system because it is a main battleground of where you're contacting the external environment. So they're intimately involved. And what else is involved is your adrenal glands and your stress hormone cortisol. They live back here on top of your kidneys, and they're all up in there together. Immune system, gut, and cortisol, adrenals, right? They're like the three amigos, three best friends. So they're all working together. You guys with me? Am I getting too way out and esoteric for you? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Post a comment like, this is making sense, or I have no idea what you're talking about. Let me know. I see a few favorite Karen's over here. Ika's over here. Alicia's over here on Instagram. Welcome. So just let me know if this makes sense. So these are the three amigos in your tummy. Immune system, gut, cortisol. Your cortisol stress hormone is there because it is part of your immune system function. It goes on red alert and goes up when your body encounters stressors, whether they're internal stressors or external stressors that came in. Ann says here with you. Okay, thanks for letting me know, Ann, because otherwise you never know. I might not be making sense to people. Let's see. Ika said, yes, makes sense. The gut is a second brain. Yep, and one of the most important systems. Yes. So your immune system, cortisol, stress hormone, is designed to be your stress response. So in the Stone Age, when we were being chased by a saber-toothed tiger, our stress response system, cortisol, boom, goes into action. Also our adrenaline, which partially comes from our adrenals. And we could run fast away from that tiger, or we could fight the tiger, but that alerted us and mobilized our resources to go to safety, right? So that's part of our immune system response too, in a way, right? You see how they need to be linked together? It's not only little microscopic things our immune system has to pay attention to, but our immune system is linked to the big alert system that alerts us to tiger threats. And so they're all intimately involved. So if you have gut problems, what do you think it affects? Your cortisol stress hormone and your immune system function. And we've talked about Queen Cortisol. She is the queen. All hail the queen. If you don't hail the queen, you will be squashed. So she handles everything. And she is really, it's hard to say, like your kids, who's your favorite kid? Do you guys ever say who's your favorite kid? Right? We don't have favorite kids as parents. Which is your favorite hormone? We can't really have favorite hormones because we need them all. But let me tell you, you can live angel stress levels, right? You can live without sex hormones. You probably wouldn't want to, but you can. You can survive with really not a lot of thyroid hormone. I've unfortunately seen people doing that. When it comes to cortisol, you cannot live without cortisol. If someone came and took all your cortisol, immediately you would be horizontal forever and ever and ever. So cortisol is the queen, and she will be fed at all costs, and she will take resources from all the other hormones for herself, and she pulls on them and will pull your thyroid off, your insulin off, your sex hormones off, because she needs to have her supply. Ika says almost everything. If I can't properly digest anything, you are in trouble. Proper digestion is also affected by stress. Yes, it's bidirectional. Thank you for sharing that. So this is what your gut health has to do with your hormones, because your gut health is directly linked to your cortisol stress hormone function, which is directly linked to all your other hormones. She is the mother hormone, really. So if you have gut problems, you're going to have sex hormone problems, because cortisol, she's going to get hers, right? She's going to take from the sex hormones and they're going to be all out of balance. Crazy periods can be the result. Infertility can be the result if your sex hormones are unbalanced. Low libido, this is a huge cause of low libido, can be the result. Or maybe it just shows up as she starts pulling on your thyroid, and then you have a thyroid problem. And then when you have a thyroid problem, what happens? Weight goes up, energy goes down. So maybe that's the problem. Or maybe she pulls on your insulin. Maybe you're not one of those people we talked about yesterday who partied their way to diabetes, but maybe you end up with some insulin resistance or pre-diabetic or diabetic, not because you ate too much sugar, but because your cortisol is stressed out because you have a gut problem. So I hope you're following me that the gut is central because it directly affects your cortisol, which is one of those 7 main metabolic drivers that I always talk about. So you've got to balance your cortisol to balance your other hormones, and that means you've got to address your gut health. Now, another question that showed up a lot in the 150 answers that you guys gave me was, well, I don't think I have a gut problem because my gut's kind of quiet and does its thing and does its job, and I don't think I have a gut problem. And just like I always say that in this day and age, everybody has a cortisol stress hormone problem, most everyone has some degree of a gut dysfunction, even if they don't have symptoms. I say that people who have symptoms are lucky because they're being alerted, there's a problem, you need to look. But the ones who don't aren't necessarily lucky. You might think, oh, they're lucky, no symptoms. Not necessarily so. Because if you don't have any symptoms, you don't know that there's a problem. But I find that when you scratch the surface and you look at what's going on in the gut, then most everyone has a problem. So why do we have a problem? Let me explain this to you. You guys have heard of the microbiome. Let me know if you heard of the microbiome. Ann, Angel, my peeps over here on Facebook and YouTube. Do you guys know on Instagram? You know about the microbiome. We have trillions, with a T, trillions of healthy bacteria in our gut that keep us healthy. We cannot live without them. A lot of our genetic material is actually stored in those bacteria. Scientists okay, so Karen doesn't. Thank you for letting me know. And Ika knows. Okay, thank you for letting me know. Anne knows. Thank you guys for letting me know. So scientists have wondered for a long time, how do humans and earthworms, little earthworm, right, have the same amount of genetic material as each other? Humans, complex, right, highly evolved animal. Earthworm, not so much. Same amount of genetic material. How is that possible? The microbiome is the answer. We have uploaded our genes into the cloud, literally. So in our gut is our cloud of genetic material, and it lives in healthy bacteria in our gut, and it helps us to function. We can't live without it. So if you are not eating organic food 24/7, 365, guess what you are getting in your food? Pesticides, herbicides, and if you're eating processed food, you're getting a lot of chemicals, artificial flavorings, artificial colorings, preservatives, all kinds of goodies in your food. Well, what is all this doing to our healthy bacteria called our microbiome? It's killing them. So we may not have any symptoms, but daily most of us are killing those guys. And if we ever have to take antibiotics for any reason, then studies show that you can knock out the majority of your microbiome for up to 2 years from one course of antibiotics. So think back to the last time you had antibiotics. I don't know if you're like me before I got healthy and figured all this out. Oh my gosh, there was a period in my life, excuse me. I used to get sinus infections all the time, so badly that I had to have surgery decades ago on my sinuses. I can't even tell you how many rounds of antibiotics I have. What does that mean? No healthy gut bacteria, which means gut dysfunction. I had symptoms, but unfortunately, the medicine I knew how to practice didn't have the answers for me that I needed. So this is how you get gut dysfunction and you don't know it. Not to mention that our stomach acid, that's really one of the main stops in digestion. First is chewing your food, salivary enzymes, breaking it down, and then in the stomach should be very low acid pH to break down protein bonds and churning. We start losing stomach acid at age 30. By the time we're 70, most of us have none. That means we're not breaking our food down properly. So that's another problem that we have. That's one of these programmed obsolescence type issues. So even if you don't think you have gut dysfunction, you have gut dysfunction. It's just like cortisol problems. Even if you don't think you have them, you have them. It's just that our norm is that we're never optimally vitally healthy, but that's really what we've accepted as a society because we've opted for symptom management medicine, disease management medicine. So hopefully this is making sense to you. Let me know. Hey, Monica. Hi, Lily, Kathy. Ika says we have more microorganisms inside than we have human material. Yes, we do. More of those guys. We are outnumbered, y'all. Outnumbered. More of those guys in our gut than we have cells in our body. Do gut issues cause thyroid imbalances? Sure. So again, thyroid is one of those main metabolic driving hormones that I talk about. There's 7. And like I said, gut directly affects cortisol, stress hormone. Cortisol affects all your other hormones. Thyroid, it will pull your thyroid off, your insulin off, your sex hormones off. It is the queen. She will be taken care of, whatever she needs to do. And if she's stressed out, what happens when mama's stressed out? Everybody's stressed out, right? What do they say? Happy wife, happy life, happy mama, happy family, right? What happens? So, she's the queen. When she is stressed out, she's going to stress everybody else out. And that's all the other hormones. So yes, thyroid issues are directly tied. Now, especially if you have something like Hashimoto's. So autoimmune disease, in order for it to exist where your immune system's attacking you, right? You have to have 2 things. You have to have an accelerator on the dysfunction and the immune system. And oftentimes that's gut inflammation. So what happens when the good bacteria move out? What happens in your neighborhood when all your good neighbors who keep their yards clean and are orderly and take care of their homes and they're not disruptive move out in an area, right? Not people you don't desire to live next to move in, right? They squatters, whomever, right? Well, the same thing happens in your gut. So when you don't have enough good bacteria, well, then bad things move in. It could be parasites, and 60% of Americans have those. Could be abnormal bacteria that are infections, or they could just be cause a problem because there are too many of them. Maybe your neighbors aren't so bad, but when they have their 30 relatives over at Christmas, maybe it gets a little out of control. Same thing in your gut. Maybe it's fungi or yeast in there. Maybe there are viruses. So all these things can come in and set up shop, and then they have their own unique ecosystem. Anne says the bad stuff comes in. Yep. They have their own unique ecosystem, and they cause a problem. So then you have inflammation. That is the accelerator. All autoimmune disease has an accelerator, foot on the accelerator. Yes, thank you for the heart. If you are liking this, give me some hearts, give me some thumbs up, whatever, because that sets the protocol that other women who need to hear this will see it. Okay, so thank you for that. Hey, Amanda. Hey, Kay. Okay, so thank you guys for that. So in autoimmune disease, you've got an accelerator on inflammation, that's in your gut, and then you have no brake. So you should have a brake on out of control immune system function. What's your brake? It is your cortisol stress hormone. Why do I say that? What are you talking about, Dr. Karen? So you're so welcome, Anne. So when you have, if it's anyone ever had a sinus infection, or I'm the only one, I don't think I am. I've had more than my share, that's for sure. And when you get one, if it's really bad, they give you antibiotics, right, to kill bacteria. And then what else do they give you? Steroids, right? Because you've got so much inflammation, warm, hot, red, pus, right? They give you steroids to calm down the inflammation, because steroids are anti-inflammatory, most powerful anti-inflammatories we know. Well, what's your body's own anti-inflammatory steroid? Cortisol. It's your own anti-inflammatory steroid. You have it inside. So if it's doing its job, you shouldn't need it from outside. You shouldn't need a steroid shot. You shouldn't need steroid pills. So if you do, it means your brake on inflammation, your cortisol, is broken. You have a broken brake. So all autoimmune disease is a foot on the accelerator of inflammation, and that's gut inflammation would be number one, and no brake, no cortisol. So gut and cortisol work hand in hand, but they can also, they can antagonize each other, and they should be bookends that do work together. But when you get so much gut inflammation from these bad bugs that have moved in, the cortisol can't function properly. So your accelerator, or your foot's firmly on the accelerator, your car's going 100 miles an hour, and you have no brake because your cortisol can't handle it. So the gut and adrenals and cortisol should be like this, and what happens is they end up being like this. One's going one direction, one's going in the other, and end result, you're at risk for autoimmune disease or immune dysfunction, which any illness is immune dysfunction, because your immune system should take care of it. Infectious illness, but then also cancers. Most people aren't aware that their immune system protects them against cancer. Every day when your body is making and doing and all the things your cells do, they make errors in multiplication. Remember back from high school science, how cells multiply and divide? Well, they make errors. They're not perfect. And some of those could become cancer. But what happens? Your immune system comes behind and checks and says, nope, fixes it. No cancer today. But when your immune system's out to lunch, it's not on the job, you have no break, your cortisol's out to lunch, what happens? That's when things start coming through and not getting caught, missing things, right? So, yeah, it does make sense. You've had one sinus infection. Good for you. Oh my gosh, before I got on this path, I had them all the time. Which is not uncommon, you know, when you're and another interesting thing about sinus infections, you guys might like to hear this. The sinuses are lined by the same tissue that lines your entire gastrointestinal tract embryologically. That's how they evolve. So anytime someone has nasal congestion or chronic sinus infections, by definition, they have a gut problem. So I see people all the time tell me, I don't have a gut problem, but I have this chronic congestion and I get sinus infections. Then you have a gut problem, because it's just an extension of the system, right? Your gut comes all the way up into your mouth and all the way into your sinuses. You don't associate your sinuses with your gut, because you just don't. You associate it as part of your respiratory system, but embryologically, it's made from the same place and they are connected. So if you've got sinus problems, you have gut problems. So I thought that was a little factoid you guys might like so you can wow your friends at dinner. Rebecca says, damn, I have chronic sinus infection. Right, Rebecca? So now you know you have gut inflammation, and which you might not know because you might not have irritable bowel or gastritis or reflux or any of the things that those of us who have had gut dysfunction have, or those people who have it now. But now you know if you've got this, you've got a gut problem. Even if it's all quiet down here, you've got a gut problem. You have inflammation in your gut. You just do. So that's how it works. So yes, this was a great question. Your hormones are linked to your gut health. And so really healing your hormones, part of that is healing your gut health, which is a whole other topic in itself, which we can talk about another day. Do you guys have any questions you want to talk about? Okay, I don't understand. There's beautiful writing. I guess it's a different type of language, and I love the way the letters look, but I can't read them. But hi, welcome. You guys have anything else you want to talk about? Questions that you want to ask, you can post them. We had a great info session yesterday and this morning for the Hormone Balance Mastermind, which is almost full. We have a few spaces left. So if you are interested, I think the link is still up in my bio in Instagram and pinned to the top of the page in Facebook. If you're interested, you can go to the link and find out more. But yeah, this has been a great conversation. Thank you again for filling out the One Thing Hormone survey, 150 responses. Thank you so much. They have been amazing. I've really learned so much about what people are wanting and needing around their hormone health, where the confusion is. And this really helps me because sometimes I'm so in it. It all makes sense to me and I talk about it every day, all day, that I forget that people don't know some of the things that I know. And so I need to be asked questions and then I go, oh yeah, that's right. People don't know that. They don't know that their gut's connected to their hormones or, to thyroid problems or whatever. So I think it's really great that you gave me an opportunity to know exactly what's mattering to you. And thanks so much for joining me again today. I'm going to answer your question number 11 tomorrow, the 11th most common question. There were so many. It was just amazing to me that you would think if you got 150 responses that you would have questions all over the board. Not so. Oh, thank you. Ashley said the Hormone Balance Mastermind is awesome. I learned so much. I'm so glad. Ashley can read your labs for you now because we taught her how to read labs because that's one of the things that we do is you do your own hormones and you learn how to read them, your own hormone lab testing, your Dutch test, saliva and urine, and also blood. But you would think that the 150 responses would be all over the board. Not at all. People had very consistent categories of questions, types of questions. Yes, she can. She said, yes, she can. She can read your labs. So I'm going through and combing through the most common and started with the most, and we're just kind of working our way down. Some of them were more esoteric, but no less important. So we will get to them. If we haven't gotten to your question yet, just keep listening. We will get to it. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Happy Friday and happy spring. I don't know what it's like where you are, but it is a beautiful blue sky, no cloud day here with moderate temperatures, which is beautiful considering yesterday this time it was pouring down rain. So I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. I will talk with you tomorrow and we'll answer your next most common question. Thank you for joining me. Mwah. Many blessings. Bye-bye.